I had burnout myself. I had burnout from corporate world because I was not in alignment and not connected to my true values and who I truly am. And even though there was success, everything from the outside looked brilliant. On the inside, I was spinning. Who am I? Why am I tolerating this? And I started asking those questions.
Welcome to the Lifestyle First podcast, discussing lifestyle medicine and making self-care as easy as 1, 2, 3. And now your host, lifestyle medicine physician and coach, Dr. Alka Patel.
Hi, hey, and hello, and welcome to Series 10, Episode 7 of the Lifestyle First podcast. Now, this week we are discussing why for your connections. And that one question that we're exploring is, how can I connect better with myself and with others? So to help answer that, I have with me Irini Michaelidis, who is a global business leader. She's a coach and she is an educator, and she loves to develop leaders to take on a very holistic approach to leadership. And one thing that I know Irini truly connects with is the human and the spirit connection as being really key to personal transformation. So welcome, Irini. Lovely to have you here today.
Thank you so much. And thank you for having me and for your invitation.
Oh, very, very welcome. So let's start off perhaps with that word connection and human connection. What does genuine human connection mean?
Well, that's a very good question, because we are here on Earth as human beings trying to live this human life, even though we're a spirit. A connection is to oneself. A connection is to be true to who we are, and that's what human connection as one. The second part is we are humans who are a species that love to be part of something, love to be part of a community, part of others' lives, part of knowing, part of discovery, part of everything. So connecting with another human is something that is no different than us needing water to keep us hydrated, us having food to keep us nutrition. So a human connection is really that one-on-one conversation that we could have with another, and not necessarily just for exchange of information, but it's more about learning about one another. It's about finding those similar values, finding that similarity or differences that we can learn and grow from. And that's in a very short way, without going extreme philosophical, is human connection for me. It's really being true to oneself, awareness, knowing, being.
Yeah. And we talk a lot about that, don't we? And we hear a lot about those words, those principles of being and having presence, and words like authenticity are coming to mind as well. And often we don't really use those in a deeper sense of being authentic or understanding your true identity. And it's very hard to then connect with others when you haven't got that sense of self as well. What do you feel about that? What comes first, in fact? Is it self or is it others?
Excellent. It is self. Because when you are conscious of understanding who you are, your awareness and observation of self, you are embodying that being. When you are doing that and you master who you are and understand who you are, you're more grounded. Thus, the development of your values and how you communicate with others, how you connect with others, comes from that force of being. So it starts first with being yourself, that consciousness, that awareness, and knowing who you are and figuring out, who are you really? Not what others have been telling you, not what others are projecting to you, but who you are first. And when you are connected with who you are, that being, as we say, that conscious self, then you're able to co-create with another. Co-creating meaning building those connections with others, be it friends, families, people you work with, the community, whoever it is. That's where you go into that next level of co-creation and building those connections with other humans, which is others, and really learning how to develop and model and learning those, how to adapt yourself with them through the conversations, through the point of curiosity of asking questions, through the listening, the deeper listening of what's being said, what's not. And it's really about, how do you place yourself in a place where it's very inclusive and very diverse from different thoughts, mindsets, and all that. These are the first two steps. If there's, if you had to say step 1 and 2, and the third step is, okay, now that I've done all that, let me figure out, what do I want to do? What's my strategy? If I think about business or about myself and life, what is my life plan? How will I live my life? How will I be a conscious leader, both to myself and with others?
So this is the tricky bit, though, isn't it? Because we live in a very fast-paced world. We think we live in a very interconnected world, of course, with all our digital connections and everything available at the tap of a phone. So we feel as though we're connected. But that speed takes us away from space for that very first thing you said, which is getting to know yourself, and space for introspection. And I certainly ask this question. I must ask this question every day to my patients and my clients, which is, what matters to you? What's important to you? What are your values? And I usually get quite a blank look, a very long pause, and then the response, I don't know.
We were never trained to do that since day one. We were never shown that is where our true self, our higher self, our essence is. We have learned to emulate. We've learned to listen and literally emulate what's being said, from a behavior, from a thought, from a belief, from all of those values as well, until one day we get smacked and get our own awakening. But, you said something very, very important in terms of, we live a fast life. And one tip, if I may share, is that saying of slow down so you can speed up. Slow down. Just sit, walk, listen. To silence, slow down. And that is where you get that energy, because we are all energy. We're full of energy. And when we get that energy, it all of a sudden, that silence and that slowing down really helps us kind of listen to intelligence, shall we say, and listen to the truth. And then we begin to formulate. And that's when we start speeding up really quickly, and extreme productivity happens in that case. Just from slowing down to speeding up.
So there seems to be a bit of a dichotomy here, though, from what I'm hearing, which is this need for solitude and being alone to do exactly what you've just said, to have space to just be. And at the same time, we crave people because we're so socially wired and socially in need of connection. And you've measured, being with people connected it's a biological imperative, just like eating and sleeping is. And there was this really interesting study which was done by Professor Sachs, where he scanned adult brains after just one day of social isolation. And what he found in his study was that the neural activity in the brains of people who had been just socially isolated for just one day, it resembled that of people who had fasted all day. So we have this craving, just like you crave food when you're hungry, you crave people when you're starved of them. And so, of course, then there's this need to be around people and then less space for solace. So how do you manage that dichotomous need?
Fantastic. Because creating rituals, creating habits, creating it. All it takes is 10 minutes to just slow down. When we are with people, to your point, it stimulates our thinking, it stimulates our energy, it stimulates so many different areas of our brain, body, emotions, feelings, memory. It helps so many things. And it also helps us to deal with stresses when we are with other people, because we're trying to figure out how to navigate. It helps us to be with people to keep learning and improving and growing. But once we do that, we need to stop from overstimulating. And that's where you slow down. And it just takes a ritual, a 5-minute, it could be a meditation, it could be a writing, it could be just breathing exercises, it could be just sitting and staring into space. Doesn't matter. Whatever works for everyone. People paint, do art, play music, they dance, whatever they do, it's all good, because that's being centered. Who said we have one without the other? Everything is interconnected. That's why we need connection to self and connection to others. It is a need for our human life existence here.
So then on that, what are your thoughts about this digital connectivity we have versus this human in-person togetherness type of connection? And, certainly when we're around people, there is so much that we absorb from them, energy that we absorb from them. And we look at things like just their gestures, or the way we lock eyes, or that hug, or that handshake, or that high five. All these interjections play a big part in that sense of connecting, because I think connection isn't just about being present in a physical space together. I think you can still be around people and still feel very lonely, but all of those really incredible ways that we are around each other, that we just pick up automatically and mirror and use the signals to understand the connections we have. What's your sense of that in this digital world that we're finding ourselves in?
That's a tricky question, because it depends on what platform. Right now, you and I are digital, having a connection.
Yeah. So
the intentions that we put when we're going to go on a digital platform, whatever form, what is our intention? Is our intention, if we're doing this kind of thing where we're having a conversation, is really looking in one's eyes and really kind of being truly tuned in the moment, as though you are literally in front of me. We're in different countries and different continents, yet I feel like you're right in front of me. It's because the intention is there. If we are looking for information, that's another digital platform. We to find information. But then if we are unsure of ourselves, we have doubts, we have fears, we feel not enough, less than, or whatever things that happen in our minds to create that, I'm not good enough for this, I'm not worthy of that, or whatever those, I'm not as lovable as I should be, or whatever the case is. That's where digital becomes tricky. Because that's when you go to a platform, and people do, and waste a lot of time and energy and the intelligence of our brains to see that comparison. This person has that, this person's done that, this person, and you don't even know what's true, what's not. That alone creates loneliness. That alone creates anxiety for people. We could be in a group with a lot of people and can still be alone. as you know. And we can be very outwards and joyful and comedic and all of that, yet we could be very dark on the inside.
Yeah.
Right? So digital is good from a technology point of view to be able to do things that we can't do physically. But leave it at that. Nothing will ever take, regardless of digital, that human connection one-on-one, face-to-face in the environment. Because again, we are energy. We're all energy. Everything is energy. Everything is alive. I believe in everything is alive. The plants, the insects, everything is alive. The rocks are alive. Everything is alive. And when we are in a place, we get the energy. Why do people say go for a walk in nature?
Yeah.
Because we want to absorb, or go by the water. We want to absorb that energy. We will still, as humans, on this earth, we need that in person.
Yeah.
Digital has to have an intention as to why am I going on this platform, for what use, and creating habits to help an individual or yourself to not just sit there and scroll for 3 hours and then go, okay, that was 3 hours now.
Yeah.
That's the danger point. And that creates a lot of loneliness, depression, anxiety. And the mind is very tricky, as you know. The mind can play things. The ego brain can do things and tell us a story that doesn't really exist. So if that happens, we should always ask ourselves, is this true? Is this real? Slow down so that you can speed up.
Yeah. Gosh, there's so much in what you've just said, and what's resonating for me is the intention, the information, and the interaction. So is this, what am I here to connect with? To connect with information or to connect with interaction? And it reminded me of another study actually that I came across. I think this was 2010, a Professor Redkay, and he again looked at people going through scanners and found that if they interacted with a live video with the people doing the scans and interacted with the pre-recorded video of the people doing the scans, there was a big difference. There was a difference into the area of the brain related to social reward. It didn't light up with a pre-recorded video, but it did light up with live interaction. And I think what you're describing is that the way we interact is so important, because we get something different from that than information. And I think that's so critical. And then really sort of coming into that aspect of loneliness is we can still feel lonely despite having forms of connection. And there's this huge link between loneliness and burnout as well, isn't there? When actually you feel disconnect. So it's connection, disconnection. What's your experience of that?
Well, I had burnout myself. I had burnout from corporate world because I was not in alignment and not connected to my true values and who I truly am. And even though there was success, even though, everything from the outside looked brilliant, on the inside, I was spinning. I was going down a road of, wait, who am I? Why am I tolerating this? And I started asking those questions. So because I started to realize, and that's the awareness of the consciousness that I practice, that I was disconnected from conversations. I was just like a robot answered. I was disconnected with, the mission that we were working on. I was disconnected with the entirety of that business. And I thought, okay, I got to reconnect with myself. I gotta reconnect to who I really am again. And remember, because we all will eventually in this lifetime reconnect with who we are. That is proven. So it's just a matter of when are we ready to remember? I was ready to remember. I was ready to remember. So disconnect can, if we are not conscious and really aware and observing and seeing our patterns, if they have changed or not, and questioning ourselves in terms of why. If we don't do that, that's the dialogue, and that can come through writing, and asking those questions on a piece of paper and just like see what comes up. And that's what I did. I just wrote. I asked those questions on a piece of paper and I stared at it and had no answers. And then all of a sudden, floods of information came and it was like smack in my face going, this is the truth. And I was like, whoa, all right. So I'm always thankful and grateful that I really took that time to just slow down and really do that work in terms of really kind of writing it all out. For me, that's my cathartic way, is I write it all out, and I write it all out so that I could see the truth without me saying it. Not the ego self, it's the higher self, the spiritual connection to our higher self, the higher intelligence that tells us that it's exactly what it is. And then when I looked at it, I was like so grateful. And then I had to walk out. My entire family thought I was nuts. What are you doing? But you know what? I knew it was right. And here's a little story. I never go to see the doctor. Sorry. Until I have to once a year to do my medical thing. And I've had a doctor for forever, since I was a kid. And when I went to see my doctor for the typical physical annual thing, because that I stayed true to. The rest, knock on wood, didn't need to. When my doctor doesn't see me for a whole year, and when that doctor, who's so busy, like, everybody's a number, actually stopped and looked at me and said, what have you done differently? Because you are so calm, you are so present, and you are so happy. You're joyful. You're like, your energy is like, I don't know what it is. Did you change your eating? What did you do? I said, I quit. I mean, it was more than that, but, and that to me was the truth mirroring back, because this individual who only sees me once a year and didn't ask questions, just look. That's the power of connecting with self, the power of our own consciousness of awareness, of observing, and really kind of taking a hard look and asking those questions to ourselves and writing that down and just wait. You might get it, answer, you might not.
Yeah. Thank you, Irini, for sharing your very personal experience through this and what you discovered for yourself. And there really is nothing stronger than that feeling of loneliness. It's a very deep felt feeling, isn't it? And when you feel it, it's a signal. And it was, in your case, it's a signal to do something different. That state of mind that you experienced when you had this deep desire for connection, and yet your actual level of connection in your workplace for you and for so many feels disconnected in many ways, not just at work, but in other places as well. When there's a disconnect between that desire to connect and your actual level of connection, that's the state of loneliness that really is your signal to do something, because you're aching for connection, which is unfulfilled. You're aching for that genuine human connection, which we started this conversation with, aren't you?
100%. Because what happened for me, being stubborn and questioning myself, I went back after a while So my body decided to give me the signal.
Yeah.
I was sitting in a conference at the end of the 2-hour meetings. I couldn't get off the chair. I was stuck, like physically stuck. They had to pick me up. Like literally, my whole body shut down. I couldn't move. I couldn't walk. I couldn't do anything for a week. That is what sealed the deal to say, don't question. Don't question. Keep moving forward. Trust and believe in the communication that's coming to you, in the connection with yourself and your higher self. And that was the last straw.
And now, here is your Lifestyle First prescription. Your 3 activating actions to take you from knowing to doing.
Irini, do you want to leave us with 3 actions then from everything that you've said, and you've shared so much? So if we can just zone it into 3 actions that people listening can take to really embellish that connection with self and with others, what would you suggest?
So the first thing I would say, start with connecting with self. Do those rituals or habits that you want to create that helps you kind of get centered, get tuned in. So be it a meditation, be it writing, slowing down, going out in nature, whatever it takes 10 minutes. If you want it longer, make it longer, and really just ask those big questions and put it out there. And just wait and see what you get. The second one is, how are you currently connecting with others in collaborations with people and co-creating? How are you connecting with them? And that's important because that takes daily practice. Again, it's looking at from that viewpoint of how do I behave? How do I think? What do I do when I'm in this group or on the digital platform? And how am I adding value? Am I adding any value? Am I doing anything, or am I just scrolling? Really start to observe, how do you connect with others? Do you connect to say, okay, and I'm just following, or am I connecting for what? So be intentional, I guess, in how we're going to connect. And that leads me to the tip of, if you do want to connect with others and be part of something, who are you going to connect with? I call them the who's. Who is the group of people or a person, it could be one, that you can connect with on a level that will help you grow and them grow. That there's that give and take, or someone who gives you a different perspective, or someone who wants to introduce you to someone, or someone to learn. So really kind of look at your inner circle and see, who am I hanging out with, or who's in my orb that I, need to disconnect from because of negativity, or reconnect if I let, or they can introduce me to someone that I could have a better connection. So it's really practicing, your being with yourself of connection. And what does that look like? The practicing of co-creating collaborations with others in terms of connecting with others. And then those others being very specific with intentional, who are those? Because those who create your hows, how you're going to get from A to B to Z.
Yeah.
As long as you know your why, which is your intention.
Absolutely. Amazing. Thank you so much. That was a beautiful summation of really giving us a sense of knowing where to start and where it can actually take you. So connect with yourself first, then ask, how do I connect? Then ask, who do I connect with, and let that just grow. Wonderful. Thank you, Irini. I really appreciate your sharing, your ethos, your approach. I'm sure there will be people listening who will want to connect with you for sure. So what's the best way to reach out to you for that genuine human connection?
Sure. The best way, because I love to connect with people, the best way, the most important way is through my LinkedIn. So it's Irini Michaelidis /you, YU at the end. And actually the initial is I am you. So that's the best way. And if you do connect with me there, just let me know where you've heard of me from. That is one way. Another way, you can connect with me through email. I'm good with emails. Again, just let me know who you are. And it's Irini@success.com. And it's a number 6, SESS.com, because I love successes. And those will be the best 2 places at this moment.
Lovely. Thank you. Thank you, Irini. I'll put those links onto the podcast show notes as well, probably, so they can reach out to you. So once again, thank you so much. And that simply leaves me to wish everyone a happy, healthy day.
Thanks for joining us on the Lifestyle First podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and share. To learn more, please visit www.dralkapatel.com.